It's Tommy Coulter with Stocks and Sports, coming in from Ocala, Florida. Today we have a special guest. We have Art Smith. He is a 27-year veteran of the telecom business. He's the founder and CEO of DTGI, publicly traded company. We're just delighted to have him. Art, are you on the line?
I'm here, Tom. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for taking time on this Saturday morning, March 28th, 2020. I think it would be appropriate for both of us to mention this Corona, the COVID-19. We're just so sorry for, I know you guys are based out of San Antonio, Texas. I live here in Ocala, Florida. But for, everybody, our friends and families, the whole world, anybody that's been affected, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody with that. How are things in Texas and San Antonio with COVID-19?
Tom, we've been fortunate here in Texas, or at least in my area of San Antonio, Texas, Bexar County. We have not been impacted like our friends and family up in the New York region and other parts of the United States. It's obviously still concerning. It's really been had a huge impact on our local community here. Everybody's trying to adjust, and we are now in a shelter at home ordinance by the city and the county. So it's a difficult time here locally, but fortunately here at home as well, my family's healthy. My wife and I are working from home. My daughter's in school from home, and we're really blessed that we're all healthy and together.
No, that's good to hear. It's the same here. We're hoping that in time there's some silver linings. I know I was telling you that I was able to talk to my 9 brothers and sisters yesterday. We're scattered throughout the U.S. So, and it's good to hear from everybody, so just wanted to mention that. I think that was appropriate for us. But thank you. And we're just glad that you're okay, you and your family at DTGI. No, thank you so much. And then let's do a shift into something that'll kind of touch base on that. I kind of met Craig, the executive chairman, a little bit, and I spoke to him on Monday this week. And I met him through Twitter, which is a great platform for networking. But anyhow, on Twitter, there's a ad or a tweet that you guys have that you've been running lately, which I really like. It says DTGI provides business solutions to work during this COVID-19 pandemic. So that basically, when you think about that, business solutions to work during this pandemic, this is going to be huge, where you're going to be able to help small businesses, which Craig calls the SMB, small to mid-sized businesses, backbone of the United States. You're going to be able to help those type of companies and employees with working remotely with some tools and solutions from DTGI. Could you elaborate, or as they would say, tell us a little bit more about your thoughts on that? I just think that's huge and awesome.
So even before the COVID-19 pandemic, we were always encouraging our customers to use some of our cloud communication services off-site, right, for remote workers. That's just one of the features and benefits you get from a system like ours, right? You can pretty much be anywhere at any time on any device, right, and be connected to your core communication platform. And it's like you're in customers that want to migrate to a cloud-based solution and establish a remote working environment in short order because of the pandemic. They're working really hard to provision in 24 to 48 hours for customers. So, I'm really pleased with my team and what they've been doing over the last 2 weeks to help business customers. So, with now the, stay-at-home approach from, city governments, local governments, and ordinances that require that, many workers need to work from home. They're absolutely required to work from home. So our solution is ideal for that type of an environment for a business, right? And we can set a customer up in a relatively short period of time. Again, right now we're getting customers set up on our cloud-based platform and our mobile solution, Snap Mobile, in 24 to 48 hours. We also have a mobile data solution that we provide as a business continuity solution for our customers. And we're also offering that to businesses that need a temporary remote facility, right, to be online. Because at the end of the day, everybody needs to be connected to the internet during these challenging times, right? For a lot of different reasons, right? Whether it's work-related or your child needs to be on, attending school online, you need a good reliable internet connection. So we're helping in that regard as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome, and that's good to hear too. And then back to this conversation with me and Craig on Monday. Just going to circle back, and then if I miss anything, just remind me. You know that you're my favorite, CEO. I love working with you. It's just an honor, so I wanted to thank you again for coming on. But let's go back to this. Me and Craig had talked Monday, small to mid-sized businesses, backbone of the USA. I love that market. He mentioned some of these tickers from time to time. Ring Central, RNG, Vonage, VG. He talked a little bit about AT&T, Verizon. TEUM is another one. CXDO, JCOM, EGHT. I guess where I'm going with this, and then there's the cloud stocks. I'm just wondering, what would it take to basically disclose and expose to investors and your market the reality, basically, to kind of cut to the chase? DTGI is terribly undervalued. Now, it's probably safe to say that you could kind of relate this to, I had a big family, but you could relate this to like a high school, college, or professional athlete where you got a guy or a girl, softball player, baseball, football, where they're terribly underrated, almost like undervalued. Maybe they missed the cut or they got cut. So I guess what I'm asking, I'm sorry to do all this Philly-style rambling, but in layman's terms, why is DTGI, which is your ticker, this stock, why is it so cheap for investors versus these big boys that we mentioned, Salesforce, CRM, Microsoft, MSFT, AT&T, telecom, VoIP, cloud guys? I'm sorry to ramble all that out, but basically, why is it so undervalued? Why is your stock so cheap? I know the financials came out where your guys' profit increased. And I'm sorry to be a pest with all this, but could you just basically elaborate or tell us more about that, or get your thoughts on that?
Sure. So, look, Tom, I think fundamentally the reason we are undervalued is that we are still unknown, largely, right? We are on an obscure exchange, the OTC market exchange. We're a small company still, and most of the world does not know about us, right? Which is the reason that we're doing interviews like this, right, to get our story out there. I think as we stream that decides to follow the company and maybe decide to buy stock in the company, 6 months from now, tomorrow, or a year from now, right? So that's what it's all about, right? Getting your story out there. So I think that's largely the reason behind it, and we expect that to change in the coming years.
No, that all makes sense too. Just thanks for sharing a lot of that. And then let's stay with the mergers and acquisitions for a minute. Let's talk acquisitions, whereas, and again, I'll just touch base. The financials are available too. It looks like you have them on your website, and your team. That was something else that we had talked about, me and Craig, and, was the acquisitions and how you guys are basically in a good position. But anyhow, with Nexigy, so Nexigy is Miami-based, down here in Florida. That's going to basically add 13 million to your sales numbers. And some of Craig's bullet points, again, with these big boys, as we call them, that you compete with, nobody's throwing anybody under the bus or under the water. But I enjoyed hearing about, DTGI possibly looking at other acquisitions and how well your team is and how much experience is, where you guys are basically ready to roll against the big boys. And then I'll just ramble and throw this out there too. So there's a couple points that I guess trying to make here. But last time we talked about the local touch, where you mentioned, Florida and Texas, number 2 and number 4 market, where you guys are passionate about customer service against the big boys and acquisitions, which you mentioned that you might be in a better position than, somebody like an AT&T that may not be able to take an acquisition that you guys can take. And then the customer service, what sets you apart, or what's your niche, or what's your thoughts on all that stuff? And again, I apologize for rambling it out, Philly style like that.
Yeah, no problem, Tom. So, look, the companies we're acquiring are regional providers that have excelled at taking care of their customers and building a customer base in a local market or a regional market, right? In the case of Nexigy, which you referenced, it's in South Florida, in the Miami area, but they also have other customers extending up through the Southwest Florida region. So, unlike our larger competitors, right? You mentioned a few of them, Ring Central, 8x8, Bondage Business. They've grown, and they've done a good job of capturing market share, but they really have lost that local touch, right? And that is really important when serving that small to medium-sized business. And that's what we're all about, right? As we grow the company and acquire these local or regional service providers that do what we do and have excelled at taking care of their customers, we're going to stick to that local touch approach, right? And continue to build that customer base in that market. It's a very fragmented market. There's a lot of these service providers nationwide, thousands of them, right? So we feel we're on the right path with this strategy. A lot of these smaller providers that we look to acquire are really too small to attract a larger suitor, right? A larger public company or a larger private equity group. So we think we're on the right path. And again, more importantly, by acquiring these companies, we're really sticking to our business model of local touch and exceptional customer support, customer service. And I wanted to make a note. You indicated that with Nexigy, we're adding about 13 million in revenue. We're actually we're doubling our current revenue, and then we also announced that we have another acquisition under LOI, or under letter of intent. And so between those two transactions, Nexigy and this other acquisition that we can't announce the name yet, we will be right at 15 million, just under 15 million in annualized revenue.
Oh, that's awesome. So you basically have in the funnel another acquisition coming, which we respect that. You can't really discuss that right now.
Correct.
All right, so that's awesome. Great news, with that. It's kind of breaking as well. So it's good to hear a little bit of good news. And then why don't we do this Maroon 5 shift again, and we'll get ready to wrap it up. I'm looking at the clock. I know we didn't want to set a time on this, but once again, I just want to thank you and Craig. It's just an honor. I'm just I get so excited to have you guys, and it's really helping us at Stocks and Sports. We're on Facebook, Instagram TV, and YouTube. Stock Sports Stories is our handle. So I wanted to thank you for that. And then why don't I let you kind of close this out and wrap it up? I wanted to touch base on subsidiaries, which is another part that me and Craig had discussed. T3com.com, and I guess our audience and these investors and everybody, I guess, really didn't realize, I didn't realize how many subsidiaries, that you guys have. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about T3.com and then close out the interview for us? So I'll just end this with my final thoughts, and just, again, Corona, we're going to keep everybody in our thoughts and prayers throughout the world, and just thank you and Craig, and let you take over and just close this interview out with subsidiaries and then close it out. So I'm going to give you the floor, give you the mic, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, Tom. As you know, we've talked about it in a few previous interviews. We operate our business as T3 Communications in Texas and in Florida. So T3 Communications is the flagship, right, in terms of the brand. And currently in Texas, we have about 20% of our customer base, and in Florida, we have about 80% under T3 Communications. So that will change with these next acquisitions that I referenced just a few minutes ago. We're actually going to grow significantly in Florida because both Nexigy and our next acquisition under LOI, under letter of intent, they're both in South Florida. But we're going to have significant revenue from that region. So when you go to our website, T3com.com, that is the operating subsidiary of Digerati Technologies, right? So when our customer signs up for services or when we sell a product to an end user, it'll be branded, and it is branded today as T3 Communications.
All right, that makes sense. And then I guess the last thing I was going to mention is, can we do this? Last time we had scheduled St. Patrick's Day with no idea of what was going to happen when I had interviewed you in February. Can we get a commitment for maybe like April, maybe around Easter as a follow-up?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get past this crisis, and hopefully we'll have better things to talk about.
All right, sounds good. Just thanks.